Okay.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you, can you use the internet while you're on your phone on a call?
I don't really want to find out.
All right, yeah, shalom, shalom.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube now.
All right, you still go to Banya Yasharahla, and you should be able to see the class as it goes along, so you can comment on what's on the board and everything.
All right, you want me to go to Facebook on your Yasharahla, okay?
No, YouTube. I mean, you can go to. I guess you can go to either one, actually. So, I guess it really doesn't matter. You can go to either one.
All right.
You can go to either one, actually.
Okay,
All right, but I'm about to get started, so you may want to interject if it's absolutely necessary.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm gonna send up a quick prayer real quick. So, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Tabab Menawa Atwabium Bataladakim Alakim, Ataliana Manayam Wasitan Malakim Bashem Amashiach Yahushai, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Shalak Menawa, Chaakmah, Wa Roka Hakodash, Kailamad Menawa, Bashem Amashiach Yahushai. Aisha Kanai Labnawa, Bashem Hamashak Yahushai, Hallelujah, 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 All right, so once again, this is all about time. And the purpose of this conference call, and Nathaniel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm trying to find. I'm at Banya Yasharahla International.
No, it's not on Banya Yasharahla International. It's actually on my it's actually on my Facebook page.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
But what I can do, I can try to share it. If somebody can share this, you can maybe do it. I don't know if you know how to do that.
Yeah, all right, I see you.
Okay, so you see the board also, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm about to click on it.
Okay, so you want to?
Yeah, I'm watching you talk now.
Con. So what right, so you want to give a I guess we can get started. Do you want to can you give an introduction of who you are and what's your why it's important for you to be a part of this call. Right now we're on Facebook, we're on freeconferencecall.com. You can log in on your computer, or you can call in on the phone line. On my page, you'll see all that access information. You can log in on Power Talk if you want to, or you can just go to Banya Yasharahla on YouTube, or you can go to, so those are basically the methods that you can log on right now to, to watch this, to get access to what we have going on. All right, what we have going on. So, so if you want to, Zaquan Nathaniela, well, could you please give us a introduction, of who you are? What are your qualifications in terms of the Hebrew calendar and in terms of time, and things of that nature? And then I guess we can just go from there. Nathaniel, you have to turn your volume down and take the speaker off, because I can hear everything is coming back at me.
Okay, I took the speaker off.
Okay, did you hear what I had asked you though?
I was I heard double.
Well, it might not. You might want to mute, because I got you on the Facebook so you can see the wording and chime in on that. But there's going to be a delay on your Facebook. The conference call is going to be live, so the conference call is going to be more actual, like a few seconds delay. Facebook is more than a few seconds delay. But did you hear what I asked you though?
Okay, so, yeah, you heard the introduction to who I am.
Right.
So, briefly, my name is Yasharahla. I am the Saquon that oversaw in law enforcement with Yasharahla and with Yasharahla. And basically, I'm in charge of creating calendar along with Brother Parzah that denotes our holy convocations as they come in according to the Imperial Conjunction, also known as the dark moon. And we determine that through the ephemeris of the circle of stars, that chart, and then that's how we come in with the month according to the celestial body. And then from there, we can determine, according to the number of days in that month, whether or not we have a holy convocation that comes up. All this information is based on the Bible. We didn't have to use any external sources but the Bible. And we use the Bible as our foundation of who we are as the nation of Israel, who we are as Hebrew Israelites, and the understanding how to be compliant with the Torah, the moral, civil, dietary, and ceremonial laws found in the Holy Bible. That being said, the understanding that we're trying to get in these classes is how we determine our holy convocation and the understanding of how to use and apply wisdom in determining these holy convocations. It's that understanding through obedience, through the royal basics, which is repentance, obedience, Yahweh, our nation, Yasharahla, the understanding prepared from the last days that we're able to come up with a quote-unquote calendar of our holy convocation. With the first holy convocation being the Shabbat, 7-day Shabbat, not the lunar Sabbath, but 7-day Shabbat, which occurs from so-called Friday night sundown to so-called Saturday night sundown. And then from that holy convocation, we find other convocations according to the month that we're in. So with that, I yield and pass it over to Parzah to continue.
Okay, so, all right, so Dawada, for that introduction of yourself and of the importance of the information that you've been entrusted with. So I think that a lot of brothers and sisters may be under the impression that, you know, it's kind of like every camp, every individual, every person for themselves. And that's not the case at all. And part of structuring ourselves, you know, as a nation, you know, we've been able to bring different brothers together, sisters together, and get on one accord in terms of how we worship and how we, what do we believe. And the calendar, so-called calendar, is a part of that, that unity. Now, the process of how we, you know, come up with this information from the calendar is something that we really are going to review. We really are going to review with these conference calls that we're going to be having. Now, the conference calls are going to be, like I said, on the phone, YouTube, Facebook, Pal Talk, and free conference call login on your computer as well as calling on the phone. So we want to get started. We want to start from the very, very beginning. All right, we want to start from the very beginning. Is Zanak there with you? Who? Is Zanak?
No.
Okay. All right. So now what we want to do, let's everybody go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Let's go. Let's start together. Let's go into Genesis chapter 1. And let's go into Genesis 1 and 1. Everybody's familiar with Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Okay? Everybody's familiar with Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
In the beginning, Yahweh created the heaven and the earth.
I was gonna read it. You want to read it? I was gonna read it though.
I'm right here, so I'll just read this one.
Okay, all right.
So I'm on the phone. I'm not exactly looking at Facebook.
Okay, so once again, what the elder, you know, so humbly just read was in the beginning. In the beginning, we want to stop right there because we have, you know, we have three concepts that we see from the onset, from Genesis 1 and 1. The first word is in beginning. Now, the first thing that we notice about this word is that it has a preposition. With that preposition represents a house being inside of something, which is in. Ba. Now, the second part of the word, okay, reshit or ra'ashya. Ra'ash is a word that means your noggin. It means your noggin, it means a head. The second part of the word is yat. All right. So the second part of the word in the beginning, all right, the whole word is ba or bereshit or ba ra'ashya. Now the difference between somebody just joined us. Who just joined us? Somebody else just joined us. All right. All right. So shalom, shalom, hallelujah. All right. So we got a couple of people joined on the call through the conference number. So one of the first things we see, shalom, Rogerio, shalom, Brazil. All right. So one of the first things we see, and that's why, I'm in favor of the Nikud, the Nikud dot for the vowels. I'm in favor of that. But one thing about the Paleo Hebrew is that the Paleo Hebrew allows you to see the distinctions of each word. The modern Hebrew pronunciation has a tendency to blend words together. Okay? Beresh. All right? Beresh. Now this word, if you're looking on the board or if you're on your own Bibles, you need to get a Hebrew Bible so you can see these words in the Hebrew. All right? There's several kinds you can get. You can get a Tanakh. You can even go online. You can go to stepbible.com. You can go to BibleHub.com. You can go to different websites that show you the Hebrew. And they have interlinear Hebrew, English. So for Bereshit, Bara Ashya, this is the first word that we're introduced to when we come to Torah. The very first word. But within this word, there's a plethora. There's literally a million aspects, a million years of understanding is in this one word. So our concept of time, our concept of what we call time, is first introduced to us with the preposition, which means in. All right, which means in. The second thing we see is a word that says head. Now, head, ra'ash, is a masculine word. Okay, it's a now. Give me 1 second. I'll go get something and show you. Zaquan, you can edify real quick.
Well, the concept of our time is given to us by the Heavenly Father. And in His creation, He has given us a formula how we determine our time. So, in the beginning of what? In the beginning of creation. Because what was created has always been there. It was formulated by the Most High for us to understand. That's why it's put in words. So if you can understand, before there was anything, it was always the Most High. But then the Most High decided, within myself, in the beginning, I created heaven and earth, these bodies. Okay? Since we're just in the first verse. But then as we go further down within this chapter, we see what He creates within this body. Okay? He has to create light. He has to create darkness. And the day with the Most High starts in the evening.
I'm back too.
In darkness.
I'm back.
Then we come into the light. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm back. If you want to keep going, you can. But I was just letting you know I was back.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So you need to try to get this book to understand in Hebrew. This is Jusinius's Hebrew grammar. All right. The concepts in this book are over 150 years old. It deals with the biblical Hebrew, and it gives you a thorough understanding of the biblical Hebrew. So Ra'ash, with this suffix on it, becomes feminine. So now we have in the beginning, or in the head, in the female head, or in the head that is feminized. Now you might say, well, hold up, what is that talking about? That sounds kind of strange. The beginning you read about in Genesis, this right here, Ra'ashiath, is a noun. The first word is a preposition. So what is the beginning? Who is the beginning that we're reading about? Who is the head that we're beginning our story with? All right. Now, if you go throughout the book of Proverbs, if you look in the book of Proverbs, if you go into Proverbs chapter 8 and you read verse 23, you read about wisdom. All right? Verse 22 and 23, it says, the Lord Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way. So he says that he possessed wisdom. Wisdom was possessed by the Most High in the beginning of his way. So when the Most High first set off on his way to do what we read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, wisdom was in his possession. That's what wisdom is telling us in the book of Proverbs chapter 8. All right. Verse 22. Before his works of old. So before he started his works, he pulled wisdom and he possessed her. All right. Verse 23. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. So wisdom was set up from the beginning. From the beginning, which means I was set up by Ra'asha. All right. Now, if you go, we have some different Proverbs books around here, but I can't get to any of them real quick, and I don't want to mess around with this. I don't want to mess around with this computer because it acts real funny when you try to do too many things on it. All right. So Ra'ash. So wisdom, when we look at these words in Proverbs chapter 8, verse 21 and 22, we're going to see Ra'ash. Now, Ra'ash, again, is the same word we see here. So wisdom was set up from the Ra'ash, in the head. So in the head of wisdom, which is a feminine spirit that Yahweh created from the beginning. Now, I'm not talking about wisdom is the wife of the Most High, and wisdom is, I'm not going into no foolishness like that. Wisdom, I'm not going into nowhere near that. Wisdom is a force that Yahweh created to execute and do his will. Just like the angels, just like the Melachim, the Malaakim, all right? Just like the son, Yeshua, Yahushua, Yahweh. Wisdom is an agent of the work of the Most High. Just like the sun and the moon. The moon is a female and the sun is a male. The moon is a female and the sun is a male. So in the beginning, Ba Ra'ashath. In the beginning, Ba Ra'ashath. So in the head of wisdom, what do we see? What do we have at the beginning? We have everything, all of the elements of creation are created. In verse 1. Bara'ashiach, Bara'a, Alahayim. Okay. Ath Hashemayim, right? Ath Hadatazah. So in the beginning, the Alahayim created the heavens and the earth. Now, Yahweh, when we go to Colossians chapter 1, is working through Yahushua. Now, Yahushua is working through the Alahayim. And the Alahayim are working through Chaakmah. So Chaakmah is the activating force, which is wisdom of all of creation. Chaakmah goes through everything in creation, and we're going to get into that in the next lesson. So don't miss it. We're going to go and show you. You can look it up for yourself also. It says, sweetly does she go through all things by reason of her purity. And wisdom is the missing element that is never discussed when you're talking about days and time. But you can't go into time, you can't go into Genesis without understanding wisdom. Okay? You have to understand wisdom. Okay? You have to understand wisdom. If you don't understand wisdom, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that in order to understand wisdom, you have to demonstrate obedience.
Exactly.
Wisdom does not dwell in a vessel that's full of disobedience.
Exactly.
And to get that understanding of wisdom, then we go back to the first concept: you have to fear the Most High.
Exactly. And that goes into actually into the beginning. In the beginning, Allah created heaven and earth, and the earth was void, and the earth was without form and void. All right, so everything was there, but it was just not formed. It was just waiting to be put into a concentrated type of form. It was created in verse 1. All right, so now it says that darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of Allah moved upon the face of the waters. So darkness. All right. So here we have darkness, which is what? Which is Kashak. Kashak is darkness. So write this word down. Now, under this word right here, I want you to put Kashak. Kashak is like the earth. It's darkness. Okay. Kashak is nourishment. Kashak is strong. Kashak is Ka is solid. All right. So this word, this first letter is about a progression. The second letter, Shan, is about a movement, a process. The last letter, which is Ka, means cover. Cover something. All right. So here we see a progression and a processing of something being covered. And that's the word we have for darkness. All right. So here we can see that we have varying degrees of darkness. All right. You have different stages. You have pitch black, and then you have when the night is starting to get a little less light. The night is starting to get a little more light, rather. And then you have right before that pitch black when the sky is getting even darker. If you observe the sky at night, you'll notice that the sky gets darker and then it'll get brighter again. And as it gets brighter, then the sun makes his entrance. All right. So now, if we go into Genesis chapter 1, now remember, we're dealing with, it's all about time. So right now, we don't have the word time being mentioned yet. But getting back to the first part of Genesis 1:1, we do have 3 different concepts being shown to us right here. In. All right, so we have in. We have in, and then we have out, and then we have the border. That's why your mother tells you you're either going to be in or you're going to be out. You standing with the door open. You're going to air condition the whole neighborhood because you're standing at the door. You ain't inside and you're not outside. But you're standing in the door. You're not in or out, so make a decision. You're going to come into the house or you're going to step outside the house. So we have 3 concepts right here. We have the concept of something being neutral. We have the concept of going forward and in. And we have the concept of reverting and coming back. So this is what we see with this word ba, which means in. But with in, we're not just saying in, because in is a relative term. In is relative to out. It's the opposite of in. So you have in, you have out. All right. Contrast. All right. This is in the screen, outside the screen. In the screen, outside the screen. And now we have what? Part of my hand is in the screen and part of my hand is outside the screen. So now you can understand the concept a little better. All right. So that's ba, in. Now the second thing we have is ra'ash, ra'ashiyat, in the head, feminine. Why do we have the feminine head being associated with the beginning? One is because life comes forth for us through the female. That's the beginning of our life, through the female. So our beginning is the beginning of every human being coming on this earth. When we look in the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. I'm sorry, go ahead. You were saying something, Zaquan?
No, I was multitasking. I was saying that.
The beginning of everything that's on this earth, every human, is a woman. So the beginning is the woman. So everything that we see in creation was conceived in wisdom. It was conceived in wisdom, in the darkness of wisdom. Now, darkness is a relative term for us. And Yahweh, before he created light, there was light within him, within wisdom, within the sun, within the Mala'ak and the Melakim, the angels. There was light there. We can't see or comprehend that light, but there was light. So he created this other light for us in this in this universe that we occupy. But before that, it just was, light beyond our comprehension, light in the darkness that we could not see. Right. So now, by the Asha, in the head of wisdom, everything is happening. So to understand this beginning, we have to understand wisdom. And the first step to understanding wisdom is the fear of the Most High. All right? The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. We see this in Proverbs, Psalms 111 and 10. We see it in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. And we see it in Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. And we see it in Ecclesiasticus chapter 1, verse 14. And then it's resounded in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, okay, verse 17 through 20. So play that back if you didn't get it, all right? So now moving on. So now we understand that the first word in creation is not just a generic word. It's a word that's referring us to wisdom. And wisdom, because a lot of people, I'm going to go into the, real quick. I'm going to go into Proverbs chapter 1, and I'm going to read from verse 20. All right? It says, wisdom cries without. Wisdom cries without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. So wisdom utters her voice in the streets. Feminine. She crieth in the chief place of concourse. So wisdom is crying in the chief place of concourse. That sounds like the highways and the byways. So as we go out here talking to people, we're supposed to be talking about wisdom and teaching them wisdom to make that man and woman more thoroughly furnished in Hamashiach. Okay, so here we see that wisdom is described as if it's called the female. It's called a she. All right, it's called a she, and this is the same thing that we see right here with the Ra'ash being feminine. So Bada Asha is not just it's just not, in the beginning I did it. It's just something abstract. But Bara Asha is concrete. It is in the beginning. It is in the head of wisdom. So in wisdom, everything is being formulated because Yahweh Shai and Elohim have put the instructions of what to do in wisdom regarding this creation that we're about to read about. All right. Zaquan, is it Ariashan? Are you available? Okay. All right. So in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, it tells us, and Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. All right. Now remember, we just read in verse 2 the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So darkness was on the deep. So the thing about darkness being on the face of the deep is that darkness itself has an origin. Darkness itself has an origin.
For the Most High.
So darkness has an origin. Okay. Now, when we go into, and I don't like to really jump around too much, but you want to prove what you're saying because some of these things may be new to some of you. All right. So when you go into the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, and if we read verse 7, he says, I form the light and create darkness. So he says he creates darkness. So the darkness was created. So now when we go back to Genesis, it says, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Well, who created the darkness? You see? So darkness was created also. So now, when we go into verse 3, after we have the darkness being created, when we go into verse 3, it says, and Elohim said, let there be light. And there was light. So when he said, let there be light, he said, our ward. Our ward is the word that means light. This word means light. Okay? This word means light. All right? So the word we're looking at for light is a ward. So he said, let there be light. So now we have the darkness and now we have the light. Okay, so now we want to introduce one of the first major concepts that we can see a contrast. Now remember, we started up here with in. In, and we saw the contrast to in was what? Was out. That's the contrast to it. So now we have darkness was upon the face of the deep, and then the Elohim said light. He said, let there be light. So now we see that in the beginning of the creation, the first aspect of the creation was darkness, and then there was light. Now these things are happening in the process of time. There was darkness first, then there was the light. You read it plain and simple in the Bible. We only went to Isaiah to show the exact same thing that we see in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 2 and verse 3, but we see it specifically saying that, okay, darkness just didn't appear out of nowhere, but that the darkness itself was also created, right? So when we're reading, what are we reading about first? Darkness or light? What did we just read? What was upon the face of the deep? The darkness was upon the face of the deep. And then he said, let there be what? So how old are you? What's your name? So this is a 7-year-old girl. She doesn't have a reason to lie. She doesn't have no doctrine that she's trying to push. She can see with her own eyes and understand the fact that before there was light, there was what? And who made the darkness? So Yahweh, through the Elohim or through Yahweh through wisdom, made the darkness. We can see this plain and simple. And this is what the Messiah says. This is what the Messiah means, rather, when he says you have to come as a little what? You have to come as a child, because a child has no program. A child, she's not puffing out her chest trying to make a point to me. She's not trying to prove me wrong. She's just answering a simple question based off of what? What she heard. It's plain and simple. She can moderate. All right, come sit over here so we can hear you a little better. All right. So now, what came first, darkness or the light? So the darkness we just read came first. Now, Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light. Okay? Elohim said, let there be light. All right? Elohim said, let there be light. Now, now darkness and light are what? They're kind of together. They're kind of together. So now when we go into verse 4, Elohim said, Elohim saw the light that it was good. Okay? Elohim saw the light that it was good. All right? So when Elohim, where's Amartia? Is he doing something? What? Say I need somebody to come up and help me read, please. So now it says that, and Elohim saw the light. So when he saw the light, and that it was good. So Elohim says that the light is good. Okay? And Elohim divided. You see that now? Elohim divided. Yasharahla. Shalom. Shalom, hallelujah. All right. So, yeah, incognito over here. So Elohim said, let there be light. And then Elohim says what? Divided the light from the darkness. So let's show something real quick. I want to show something. All right. So here is the darkness. Make a circle and draw the circle in dark. Make another circle with half of the circle in the first circle and half of it out of the first circle. Almost like an overlapping 8. Okay. Now you see right here, the darkness and the light are blended together. And if you put the darkness and the light, the darkness gets lighter and the light gets darker. Right? The darkness gets lighter and the light gets darker. So now what Elohim did, Elohim said, okay, we're going to put the darkness over here and the light is going to go over there. So Elohim divided. He divided the darkness and the light. That's what he did. And when we look at the fact that he divided the darkness and the light, we don't really see that word. And this is something that I want to teach you, that I want you to learn. All right. So in verse 4, it says, Wayara'a, which means and see, Alayim, the powers, Af, to a toward, Ha'awar, the light, Kaya, for, Tawab, good, Wa Yabadal. You see that? Wa Yabadal. Very important word. Yabadal. Alahayim bayan ha'awad wa bayan ha-khashak. So the word we see is yabadal. So we want to see what this word is, right? This is badal. Okay? Ba, da, and la. Badal means to divide, to separate. So when you read in English, it says, Elohim separated the light from the dark. That means that the light and dark were created, but upon the creation of the light is so powerful that it immediately started to consume the darkness. it immediately starts to consume the darkness. So when Yahweh saw that the Elohim saw that the light and the darkness were blending together, Elohim said, it says, Yabadal Elohim. At ha'awar, bayan ha'awar, wa bayan ha'kashak. Elohim divided between the awar, which is the light, and the kashak, which is the dark. Everybody sees that, right? And I love these pictures because they show you exactly what's happening. So, badal. So you have a house, a door, and a shepherd's staff, a shepherd's stick. So you have a house and a door and a shepherd's staff. Okay? So now, with the light, this is badal, which means to divide. Divide. Now, when he divided between, that word is bayan. Hope you can see that. I write over here a little bigger. Bayan. All right, so now, what do you notice about this word? What do you notice about this word? This word, when you put a ha on the end of it, to behold means understanding. It means understanding. Now, is there anybody on the call that wants to kind of interject and say anything real quick? Anybody want to say anything? Any questions? Any comments? Wisdom. Yeah, wisdom, Azariah. Wisdom is a female. She's called a female when you go into all throughout any script you see about wisdom, especially when you read in the wisdom. Matter of fact, when you go into let's go into Proverbs, the brother Azariah, he asked a question. He said, "Is wisdom a female?" Okay. When you go into the book of Proverbs, okay. When we go into Proverbs, and we go into Proverbs chapter 7, and we go into verse 4, okay? Azariah, are you still with me, Ak? You still with me? Okay, so Azariah, you asked was wisdom a female? Okay, you with me now? Okay, give me get this book right here, and let me get Proverbs chapter 6 verse Proverbs chapter 7. Proverbs chapter 7. And let's go to verse 4. Proverbs 7 and 4. All right, over there is good. Right there. Don't kick this stuff up. Proverbs 7 and 4. Read that.
Say unto wisdom.
So we're going to say unto wisdom. Go ahead.
Thou art my sister.
That's clear, right? It says wisdom is our sister. Go ahead.
And call understanding.
Call understanding, which is bayana. Understanding is what?
My kinswoman.
Understanding is our kinswoman. So yes, Azariah, according to the Bible, wisdom is our sister. It says Amar, then it says Chaakmah, Akatha. All right, Chaakmah, Akatha means wisdom, sister your, or sister mine. All right. Call wisdom your sister. All right, so now remember, between is not understanding. Between doesn't have the ha'ah. This telling you how you have to rightly divide, separate. And you have to be able to behold the understanding to be able to separate these things. So the darkness and the light were separated. At first they were together. You had darkness, and then there was the light. So you had darkness, it was full of darkness. It was full of darkness first. Full of darkness. And then once you had the darkness, the light and the darkness were together. All right? So now, we just saw that wisdom, of course, Azariah, we just saw that wisdom is our sister. So the answer to that question is yes. I wouldn't say wisdom is our sister. Wisdom is our sister. Shalom, Marakad. And Nathaniel Marakad says Shalom. He typed it, so he can't hear you. Well, he can hear you if you say Shalom on the speaker, yeah. So wisdom is our sister. So all this creation is taking place within our sister. She's our sister. She was there before we were created. So the Bible says you have to call wisdom your sister. All right. So the topic is, brother, and Regalia Dawada, it's about time. So we're talking about time in Genesis chapter 1 to give us a better understanding. So now let's move forward. So the scripture says he divided between the light and the dark. Give me Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. Actually, let's go to verse 4. This is 1 and 4. Read that.
And Elohim saw the light.
Okay, actually, let's go to 5.
And Elohim called the light day.
So he called the light was called Yawam. Now, this is where the confusion comes in with a lot of people. He called the light what? Yawam. So the light was called Yawam. Everybody remember that. Light is called Yom or Yawam. I think some of y'all would say, how they saying it? Some of y'all would say Yum. All right. Some of y'all would say Yum. So right here, the light is called what? Zayatan, go give me that point. Go give me that pointer for the Nikaya. I don't think you can reach it from this because it's up high. All right, so the light was called Yawam, which is, we call that a day. Okay, we call that a day. Okay. So a war, and then he said a war. He called the light a war day. Now this is before the sun, before the moon, before the stars. He called the light a war. He called it day, Yawam. Go ahead.
And the darkness he called night.
The darkness, the Chashak,
he called night.
The darkness, the Chashak, he called Layala. All right. So we have light and we have darkness. We have day and we have night. Now remember this. So the darkness is the night and the light is the day. Remember that now. Don't forget that. That's going to be very important as we move forward to the next verse. Okay, now read.
And the evening and the morning.
And slow down. What's the rest? You got a plane to catch. All right, slow down. You know how we teaching. We ain't teaching fast, so you don't got to read fast. Read it again.
And the evening and the morning.
So the evening, which is the what? What does it say? You. What does it say? I rob. How old are you? All right, so you got a 6-year-old saying that this says I rob. So this says I rob. So this word is I rob. This word means the evening. Now let's look at what this word means. I like to look at this word. What does this letter mean? Who knows what this letter means? What? It means an eye. And what does this letter mean? It means a head. Ra'ash. And what does this letter mean? It means a house. So I head home. So it's time to take yourself home in the evening time. Okay? It's starting to get dark. So I head, all right, I, and then your head to the house. So all your processes, your eye, house, your eye, and then your head. So your eye within your head, everything starts to what? Your eye within your head wants to go to the house. That means what? Your body starts to kind of get tired and shut down and want to go home. When the evening time starts to come in, when the sun starts to go down, eye inside of your head is emphasizing again. Your eye is inside of your head. So not just your eye, but your brain. Okay? Your brain, your mouth wants to go home to eat what? Supper or dinner. All right? Your eye wants to go home to rest after it eats. So I and your head go to the house. So that's the evening. And what's the next one? So the evening and
the morning.
So the evening and the morning. Now let's look at this word morning, which is bakwar. Now the morning picks up the same place we left off at, which is the house. And as the house, you have what? You have a little circle and a line. Like what? Like the sun rising. That's like the sun rising over the horizon again. Right? Here's the horizon, and here's the sun going up and going down. So it's a little hole, and it's a line that's going through that hole. That's you and your day. Or that's the focus and the concentration of this particular event. It's a focal point. So at your house, the focal point, what am I going to do? What needs to be done? And then in your ra'ash, it gets executed. Same thing we see up here. Ba ra'asha, which literally means in the head, the female head, all right? The head of wisdom. Now, in the evening, the sun starts to go down. In the morning, the sun starts to come up again. So let's see about this evening. And I want to stand up for this one. Because you don't have to, when you're teaching the Bible, man, sometimes you got to go through 1,000 scriptures. Sometimes you got to go to 5. Sometimes you got to go to 1 and look at the Hebrew words, because that's where we really learn what the things mean when we look at the Hebrew. All right, so it says the evening and the morning. So both of them. All right, so you have, what do you have again? What is this word? I rob. What's this whole word? I rob. And what does I rob mean? I had house. And when do you want to go? When does your head want to start to go to the house? At the evening. So that's how you know this word is evening. The evening of what? The evening of the balancing between the light on the east and the light on the west. The darkness on both sides of the east and the west is about the same now. So now they're even. They're even. Okay? So they're even. When you look out the window, it's darkness toward the water in California. And then you look in the east, it's darkness toward New York, toward the East Coast. Darkness on both sides. That's when the evening is complete. And now we're going into the night, La Yalak, because it's full darkness now. But it's all part of the day. Because when the evening starts, what happens to that? What happens when it starts to get dark? When the sun starts to go down, what happens after that? It gets darker. It gets darker. Right? It gets darker. It doesn't just stop at evening. It gets darker. And what happens after that? It gets more darker. Then what happens after that? What happens? Then it gets brighter after that. The sun starts to come up again. So now the evening and the morning. Now pay very close attention. We're not going to add to the Bible. We're not going to take away from the Bible. We're going to just read it.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 5.
I read.
And the evening and the morning.
Evening and the morning were what?
Were the first day.
Were the first day, which is Yawam Akkad. What does Yawam mean? Day. What does Akkad mean? Yahweh Akkad means Yahweh is what, Kaya? Yahweh is one. How do you? So the 9-year-old says that Akkad means one. So Yawam Akkad means day what? So how many days? So what are the pieces that make this day? What are the pieces that make up this day? What did we read makes up this day? It said the blank and the blank were day one. The evening and the morning. And how old are you? So here's a 14-year-old that can see that the evening and the morning were both day one. So it's all about time. It's all about time. We can clearly see that on day one, it had two parts. What were the two parts of day one? Zayatan. What are the two parts of day one? Read this. What is this? What is Arab? What does that word mean? Give me one word. Give me one word for Arab. You guessing now. Give me one word for Arab. You. How many words is that? Give me one word for Arab. Give me one word for Arab. So give me a word for Arab. Evening. So the evening and what? The evening, the Arab, and the Bakwar, which is morning, were what? Yawam Akkad. Right? So how many pieces did the first day have? Two. What are the two pieces of the day? 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 So the evening and the morning are the two pieces of the day. This is what Genesis, Bereshit, Bara Asher tells us. So there's no controversy on when the day started. When did the creation start? When did time start? When did the counting start? The counting started with the darkness. And the second part of that was the morning. All right? Second part of it was the morning. Now let's go to verse 8.
Elohim of the firmament and the evening and the morning.
And the evening and the morning. So wait a minute. Look what just happened. We had an evening and we had a morning. So keep reading. The evening and the morning, what?
Were the second day.
Were the what day?
The second day.
The second day. So Yawam Shanya. Yawam Shanya. You with us, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
So Yawam Shanya. Well, wait. Now, I'm going to erase all of this. I hope everybody got some good notes on it. We're going to erase all this off the board. And we're going to move toward a clarification point. Okay? We're going to move toward a point of clarification. Got all the notes written down, Zayat done? What about you, Mayana Shabai? What about you, Kaya? Okay. All right, so now we're going to go into the red now. All right. So we have I rob and Bakwar as day one, right? And then we have I rob and Bakwar as what? As 2. So now let me explain what happens. So you have I rob, which is the dark, is it Quan? Nathaniela.
Yeah.
You might want to put the phone on mute until you're ready to chime in. You want to chime in now? All right, so the evening. Okay, now let's write. Evening, and then what is this one?
Not right this second.
Okay. Evening and morning. So how do we have evening and morning being day 1, and then evening and morning together being day 2? What happens after the morning? What happens after the morning? Break it down for me. Let's go through it. Now is the morning time. So, in your favorite position over here, you can look out the window, or you can look toward the east, and what do you see happening? The sun is coming up, right? So the sun comes up. That's the morning. All right? Sun comes up.
Well, we see the twilight coming up.
Okay, so first you see the what they call dawn, right?
Yeah.
So you see dawn. The sun is coming up, and then it goes high noon. Then it starts to go down again, right? Then when it starts to go down, what do you call that? The evening. So you back where you started from, and that evening going into the darkness, and that morning going into the light are all together one day. All of it's one day. But the problem is that we have 2 kinds of days. What kinds of days? What were the two ways? Now I'm asking how do you? So 14, 9, 6, and Shabbai, right? Shabbai. So we asking them what, and we didn't review this. What are the 2 ways that we saw the word day used so far in Genesis? Okay, wait. Because we got some people on the call, but they're being kind of quiet. So one of y'all people on the call, somebody tell us what 2 ways did we see the word? Hey, shalom, Maraka. Maharaka, shalom. What are the 2 ways? What are the 2 ways that we see the word? The word. All this stuff is distracting me. I can't think with all this going on over there. Okay. Well, who is that? What is he doing? So, what are the 2 ways that we see the word they used? Somebody on here, come on and tell us. We ain't even review it yet. We ain't review it yet. All right. What's the two ways that we see the word day used in Genesis? Who got to answer? You got to answer? Can you answer it? All right. Have we reviewed this before? Or we reviewed it before? Have I reviewed it with you before? Reviewed it with her before? When did I review with you? A while ago? All right. So what two ways do we read about the word day? I wish somebody on here on the call or somebody on the internet would kind of chime in with us. Even somebody on Power Talk, somebody say something to answer the question. What ways do we see the word day being used? All right, break it down for us, 14-year-old. So the light that Yahweh called day, Yawam. Oh, go ahead. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So the light, well, give me the two ways that we see the word day being used. I didn't understand what you were saying. All I want is the two times that he uses day. So he called the light day. Was that first or second? So first he called the light day. So the light is called Yawam. All right? The light is called Yawam. That's very correct. The light is a Yawam. All right? The light is called Yawam. We understand, ain't no problem with that. We all on the same page. The light is called Yawam. Now give me the other way that the word day is used. The Irab or the Irab. The Irab and the Bakwar were what? One day. And then it tells us that they were what? The Irab and the Bakwar were what? A second day. This is clear as day. No, total pun intended. All right? Excuse me 1 second. Got somebody waiting, man, so maybe you can just pull the thing back. I like to close the thing like this. Pull it back a little. All right, so now we see that we have 2 days. So now, if you just read it, if you just read from Genesis, what's going to come? Okay, now understand this. We're talking about spiritual things. We started off with wisdom, and wisdom is the spiritual level. We didn't come in about carnal. We didn't come in to fuss or to argue or dispute. We came in with the word of the Most High, and we came in talking about time. So everything we said was about time. Even when we went to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, it was about time. When we went to wisdom, all right, it was about time from the beginning. Everything was about time. And then wisdom, we gave some special attention to her. All right, so now we see that we got this concept of time. So now let's erase. I want to erase the board now. And now I want to go into some questions. Okay. Now, the creation of Yahweh, when he was giving us time, did it start with darkness or did it start with the light? So we started with darkness. All right. How do we say darkness? Ain't that it? Chashak. So Chashak, that's the darkness, okay? Did you tell her to come in? Did you tell her to come in? Okay. All right, so the darkness is Kashak. All right? That's the darkness. The darkness was first. So then when we see the Most High talking about a day, all right, when we see him talking about a day, he says what? He says there's two parts of the day. He says that the Irab and the Bakwar. And the Irab is what? Is it light or is it dark? So once again, we got the darkness from Irab, which is the what? From the evening. So the Irab is darkness. So now let's go from there. So now we can clearly see, if you can clearly see, that if you can clearly see, yeah, we went into that Isaiah 45:7. All right, Maharakah said that I form the light and create the darkness. I make peace and create evil. I Yahweh do all these things. The evening could be called a day, and the light could be called a day. Yeah, he got. Yeah, I didn't even see that you had answered it, but yeah, you know you got it, man. You cheating, man. The teachers ain't supposed to be teaching, man. I mean, teachers ain't supposed to be answering the questions. Maharakah, man, you cheating, bro. Teachers can't answer the questions. Isn't there a title to tie in the Shah and Ka to make the Chashak? Isn't there a title to tie in? Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Okay, Reyes. All right, we got that. All right. To tie in the Shah and the Ka to make it sound Kashak. Okay, yeah, we did that. Kashak. So we got that title. We got the we call it the title, right? So we'll do that on there too. All right, so now, so we see that the day begins with the evening. And we see that the next day, day 2, began with what? With the evening, right? So now, what does this show us? What's the first thing he did after he made the light? And he saw the light was good. What did he do? What did he do? Don't look in the book and tell us. What did he do? Because here's the darkness, and then there's the light. What did he do? He divided them. So he divided, okay? So here's the dark. And here's the light. There's a division between the light and the dark. Right? There's a division between the light and the dark. So the day started where? Over here. The day 1 was the evening. And then day 2 started with the evening. Day 3 started with the what? The darkness. The evening is all starting in the darkness. So now check this out. Now what we have to see is that when it comes to the Kadash, which is the moon, is it going to start with darkness like the rest of creation so far? Or is it going to be darkness it's going to be darkness with a little bit of crescent light, a little bit of slither. Which is going to be? What is he showing us so far? What did he do between the light and the dark? And what was created first? The dark was created first. And what did he divide? He divided the light and the dark. And when did the day start? With the evening and the morning. And then once he created the light, it was still part of what? The day, right? So now, is he going to now say, well, that's how I do the day, but with the month, I don't think I'm going to keep the division there anymore. I want the month to start with a lot of darkness and a little bit of light. Is he going to do that? No. Because he's consistent. He's not trying to trick us, or he's not trying to confuse us. Hashatan wants to confuse us. Hashatan wants to trick us. Hashatan wants to trick us. So now we see that when we come and say, I read in another book, and this other book said that we're supposed to start counting the month on the first light. We know that that book is not exactly in agreement with what we see in the scriptures. Because what is the foundation of what we see going on in Genesis? Is wisdom. Wisdom is going through putting everything in order. So this is what somebody would call the slither. And this is what somebody would call the dark, or the dark or the black. So which one of these line up more, if you want to count time, which one of them line up more with how Yahweh did things from the beginning? Starting it over here, or starting it over here with the light? Starting it from the dark. That's the pattern that we see from creation, and that's what we have to go with. We have no option. We don't see anything else in Genesis. We don't see anything else in Genesis, right? That's all we see right there. All we have is darkness and light so far. But we have to define when these periods start. Darkness and light is the first ingredient for our counting of time. If we don't understand the division, the badal, between the darkness and the light, if we don't understand that, we back up. Have a seat over there. If you don't understand that, how the darkness and light are divided, if wisdom does not reveal that to you, then there's nothing else, there's no other concepts in the Bible that you're really going to be able to grasp, because the division between dark and light is the fundamental lesson of the whole Bible. There has to be a division and a separation between things. So now you have to understand that these divisions of time, all right, are taught to us from Genesis, and these are the only things we have to go on. We don't have nothing else to go on. Nathaniel.
What?
You want to chime in?
Well, just on the point that the Most High, I'm hearing multiple echoes here. Let me get up. Basically, side divided the night from the dark. The daylight from the night, and in Genesis. So with that concept being in the structure of wisdom, everything's based on that. And then from there, the Most High gives us the understanding of how we get the stars, which is later on in the book of Genesis, first chapter, and how they play an important part in our understanding of time. You hear that?
Come.
Yeah, I had, man, the brothers in the same room that I'm in, so I'm hearing the echo from you on Facebook.
Come.
So you can go ahead.
All right, so that's about it. Anybody on any medium, have any questions about anything? So this wasn't really about crushing nobody's doctrine, or this wasn't about being combative. I would like to have more vocal participants in the call. It was meant to be a conference call, not a teaching lesson exclusively. But the understanding came forth. Yahweh shows us in His Word what He wants us to do, and how He wants us to do it, and the things are indisputable. So it's His Word. So we don't have to come and try to, reinvent the wheel, as it were. We don't have to come and say, yeah, we got to reinvent this wheel. All right, the water, absolutely beautiful, very, very enlightening and insightful. Oh, the water, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. We don't have to, reinvent the wheel and say everything that was taught is wrong, and we got to just do this over. We don't got to do everything over. We just got to re-examine what we have to get a better understanding. And when you go into the scriptures and you look at the Hebrew, it's clear to see. So hopefully, the next time we get together on next first day of the week, next so-called Sunday, we can go into the moon and show how the new moon is actually black, using the word moon, new moon itself, using that word, and then going into a little bit of the pillars of wisdom on how to get a better understanding of the scriptures using the 7 pillars of wisdom. And then we're going to just use the word moon, Kadash, actually, and bring forth the understanding and show how the understanding of the moon is in the name itself. It's in the name moon that we get to understand what moon means a lot better. Right? And it's very profound. So you definitely, don't want to miss next Sunday at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, and 8 o'clock Mountain. You definitely don't want to miss next week, because we're going to go into a lot of details in terms of the moon and when does the month start? When does the new moon start? All right. How are we supposed to sanctify and keep it as a holy day? We're going to go into the moon, and hopefully after that, we'll go into a lot about Genesis 1:14, about the constellations and the days and the years and the signs and the seasons that we have in Genesis 1:14. So we want to go into the scriptures and go into the Hebrew and show these things also. All right. So, don't miss it. Also, I want any brother got anything to chime in on. Now is Marika, you said my bad, huh? Anybody got anything they want to chime in on? let's go ahead and chime in. All right. Maharaka or Reyes, Wayne, the floor is yours. The floor is yours. Take it. You know, we'll let the veterans have the floor first. You know what I'm saying? And then anybody after the veterans. So the brother said, how do you differentiate between I rob, the three letters, I rob and Irba? All right, the raven. All right. We're going to take that off. We're going to write the word up there. E, Ra, Ba. Okay. Then we say Irab. So we know it ends with this sound right here. All right. So I, head, house. Okay. So right now, the emphasis is two syllables. All right. First one is E, and the next one is Rab, that are grouped together. All right. That's going to be even. All right. So now, the brother said the word raven. So let's go into the book. Let's go into the dictionary. Okay. We're going to look at Irab. And we see so many different pronunciations of this word right here. It's ridiculous. It has so many different ways that we can say this word. We have in different definitions. Okay. Now also remember that with this word we have Irba. We have Irba, that we can pronounce it Irba or Irba, but I like Irba. And we also have Iraba. So we also have Iraba. Now from Iraba, we have Iraba. We have Iraba. And then we have Iraba. We have Iraba. And then we have Iraba. Iraba. So we have three different ways, and then we have Iraba. Iraba. So we have like three different ways to pronounce this one word. That's with connections. So we have Iraba. Iraba, which is the syllable, the emphasis on the first syllable. Iraba. And then we have Iraba. It can be pronounced Iraba. And then the third way is going to be Iraba. Iraba. So that's the three ways that we can pronounce this word. But now, when we have it like that, and the same thing applies here. We can say Irba, or we can say Irba, right? We can say Irba, we can say Irba. And then we can say Irba. Okay? Irba. So you can say Irba, or you can say Irba. Okay? You can say Irba, So irba or irba. See the difference? Irba, irba, or irba. Or you can say irba. So that's like 3 ways we pronounce this too. It's all about the emphasis on the pronunciation of the word. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these words we've missed the pronunciation, and they have different vowel points that were inserted to kind of make a uniform pronunciation system based on within the Nikud. All right. So now the last one we got is going to be we can say Irab. You can say Irab, or you can say Irab. You can say Irab, or you can say Irab, or you can say Irab. So we have different ways to pronounce this too. Very, very emphatic, but yet subtle distinctions in the letters and in the sounds of each letter shows us how that word is pronounced. So I can't really sit here and tell you, which way would be preferential to me, because I'd have to, I'd have to. I don't know what each one means. I haven't studied, that word. I'm not a Hebrew scholar, but I did stay at the Days Inn. I was joking. Was it the Days Inn or Holiday Inn? Like commercial. I'm not a genius, but I stayed at the Holiday Inn. I'm not a genius, man, but and I'm not an expert at the Hebrew, but I understand the words that I see, and I can compare and contrast them. Brother Paul P.K. Keller Jr., I thought the ayin made the I sound. Okay. When you look at this word right here, we say this word India. In every country besides America, they say India. In America, they say India. In every other country, it's India. Okay, it's India. When you go to this country right here, they say Iran. Iran. Okay, Iran. When you look at this country right here, you say Mexico. It's E sound. Okay. When you say America, we say, in America, they say America. America. See? America. In other countries, they say America. In Spanish, we would say America. We would say Mexico. We would say Iran. We would say India. Okay? Let's say if you're talking in French. In French, this place is called Paris. Paris. E. Paris. India. Iran. Mexico. America. So the point I'm making is that and let's look at this one. You say Ethiopia. Ethiopia, right? Ethiopia. Ethiopia. Right? So, and then let's go into how the Germans say this city. This city in Germany is called Berlin. Berlin. And you go into Turkey. This sound is Istanbul. Istanbul. So the point of all these, different examples is to show you that in most cultures, the I sound is the same as what we call a double E, as in, exempli, gracia, for example, B. So this sound in most Shemitic languages is called a B. All right. If you say let's see what word we're going to use. Let's say we say the word Islam. It's Islam. They don't say Islam. They say Islam. Okay. So the I sound that we say when we say I in English, when we talk the Paleo Hebrew, that I sound that we use is an American English type of influence. Okay, it's an American English type of influence, like Ireland. See, Ireland. Okay, you say Ireland, or you say Switzerland. Okay, Switzerland. Switzerland. Don't say Switzerland. They say Switzerland. Or they say Switzerlandia, Finlandia, see? Finlandia. It's only when you get into English that you pronounce this I as I. It's an I. Okay? Like ice or iron. Okay? Or you say pie. So in English, that I has that distinction. But in other, in Eastern languages and in Semitic languages, Paul, we don't have that I being pronounced like an I, like ayan. We have been pronounced as an E, eon. So in keeping of that pattern, or in keeping of that, rule of that observed rule, I, in turn, often will pronounce this letter in Hebrew, in this letter, I will pronounce it E. Now, in any other culture, this sound and that letter are the same. In America, now we run into a bunch of differences. All right. But even in America, some of the words like they use, like we say Marines. See that? We say Marines. So the raw letter itself makes that I sound, but that I sound in the outside of America is an E sound. All right, B. So this right here is a B. Look in any language. Just look in any language and look for the words that have the I's in them, and you'll see most of them being pronounced as a double E sound. Okay. All right, so that's an hour 45-minute class right there. Supposed to be a conference call. Yeah, for Yahawashi, I would say Yahawashi. The pronunciation that they use in saying that I would be so bold as to say that pronunciation that we use saying Yahawashi, I would be so bold as to say, that it's wrong. I would say that it's wrong. All All right, I would say that it's wrong because we don't see that in any other Semitic languages. We only see it, like I said, when we go into far Western European countries, specifically England and Macintosh, right? England and in Ireland, right? All right. So that's gonna discuss about time. We can have another discussion about the Hebrew and the pronunciations of the letters in Hebrew. We can't go on forever, unfortunately. Once again, I think we have like about 9 different pronunciations that I went over when it comes to the ayin, the ayin, the resh, and the bet. We went over like 9 different pronunciations. Remember, those pronunciations from the Masoretic pronunciations are not concrete. Those are colloquialisms that were standardized with the text of the Masoretic. All right, those aren't concrete, universally accepted pronunciations. Those were the ones that made it through. All right, those are the ones that were accepted by the Ben Asher school. Went out on that one, using like a Tiberian or Tiberius pronunciation system with the Nikud system like that, Nikudot system with those particular vowel points. But there were many. Okay, there were many other pronunciation systems. There are many other pronunciation traditions, right? And we're not really going to be able to give definitive and final answers tonight, unfortunately. And I don't really see representing the long and short class vowel, the passive intensive conjugation of irab or irba or mixed. So once again, it's up to us to look at these paleo pronunciations, comparing to the emphasis that's put using the nikudot, and from that we can probably try to reverse engineer a better paleo pronunciation of these words represented by the ayan, the ra'ash, and the bayath. With that, we have to sign off and shut everything down for tonight. I appreciate everybody's participation. I appreciate everybody's attendance. Is there anything else that anybody has to say on the topic of it's about time? Anybody here want to say anything else?
I would just say, tell other brothers and sisters about the class and about the conference call, and go over with other brothers and sisters what we went over today, so we don't necessarily have to repeat what we did today.
Because that's what it was about. It was about, time. So tell other brothers and sisters, like Nathaniel said, about the class tonight, the lesson tonight, and next time let's have more participation. All right, because everybody can contribute and bring something, into the equation to get a better understanding. All right. So, with that being said, remember that go ahead. Chaakmah. What you about to say, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say something.
No, I said what I said.
Okay. So Chaakmah Akathia. Wisdom is my sister. Chaakmah Akathia. Wisdom is my sister. So once we call wisdom our sister, we can look at everything through the spectrum of wisdom. And also, I would say, and finally, I would say that when we're looking at if you look at the passive intense conjugation, we would have to actually look at that word and see what is the meaning of that word and see what characteristic of that word is brought out in one of the particular putting the emphasis on which word. All right, putting the emphasis on which word. So we're talking about a raven, for example. Is the emphasis of the raven on every single characteristic of the raven, or is the emphasis when we look at the Nikud, is the emphasis on his eye, or is it on his head, or is the emphasis on his the house? One of the emphasis on the raven itself over the head of the raven probably be the eye. How it got that black eye that just blinks, right? Raven blinks a lot. You know, he moves his head around, so he's constantly, looking. If that's the case, then you would say Idal. You would put the emphasis on that and say Idal. All right? You would put the emphasis and say Idal, if that's the case. So, you have to go and look at this kind of on a scholastic level. Because it's the water. No problem, I guess. Hallelujah, all praise to Yahweh. It's the emphasis of the characteristic that should determine where the emphasis and where the focus is going to be placed on. Like if you were going to say they came out of mixed multitude. All right, let's say mixed multitude. E, Ra, and Ba. If you're going to say something is mixed, where would you put the emphasis on? On the eye, on the head, or on the house? She says house. Why you say house? What does that have to do with being stuff being mixed together?
Sometimes stuff that you have can get mixed together in the house.
Okay, that's a good point. What about y'all? Why? Why? No, we're talking about mixed. Yeah, mixed. If you see stuff that's mixed, different types of stuff together, which letter kind of puts the emphasis on, that characteristic of different things being brought together. So Matazayal Allah, we're trying to answer this question for you by looking at mix. What would you say? Why? You can see if it's mixed. Okay. What about you? If something is mixed, would you put more emphasis on the eye of the letter, the Ra'ash head of the letter, or the Bayat house of the letter? Why? Okay. With your eye seeing. I would say I would have to agree with the female and say I would put the emphasis on the bayat, on the house. Because in the house of a man, if you have the house of a man, you got different types of people, different hairs, different noses, different feet, different beds, different cots, different shoes. Everything's different. All right, different kinds of plates. All right, different towels, different washcloths, different cone. Everything is diverse and different. Right? So I would say the emphasis would be, I would say the emphasis would be on this one. All right? On this one. And since I'm not putting the emphasis, since I'm not really emphasizing these two, they're a part of the word, but I want to really emphasize this. So I would say instead of saying Irba, we would say Irba, because that's what I want to put the focus on, is that Ba right there, that house, those different components to build and make it one, okay? Because it's mixed, but it's still together, right? I would say Irba that way. I would say Irba. Okay. But if all of them apply, then I would say Iraba. If all of them apply, but this one is stronger, I would say Iraba. But I don't really see I and head, really blended together for a mixed multitude. Those two don't really stand out as much. I mean, you see with your eye, right? And then in your head, process distinction and seeing it, and then your brain is processing it. And then you say, okay, house, you just group everything together. Okay, so you can say Iraba or you can say Irba. All right, so once again, that's it. Ayandabar and Tawala to everybody else. All praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Yahushai, Hallelujah. See you next time.
Hallelujah. Shalom.
Shalom to come.